At the time of this video being released, Southend United had just played at Aldershot. Their season on the field had started well. A 4-0 demolition of Oldham saw them top of the table after matchday 1. A 2-0 away win versus Dagenham and Redbridge on matchday 2 saw them stay top. Two successive defeats by 1 goal was followed up by a 2-0 win at home to Eastleigh. A loss against Bromley, a win against Kidderminster, and a draw against Halifax followed that up. A 3-0 defeat to York City looked like the end of Southend's good start. However, against the odds, the Shrimpers beat Maidenhead by 2-0. This was though followed up by a 2-1 home defeat to AFC Fylde. These results should see Southend up in the playoffs, but due to off-field issues, they find themselves last in the National League and face possible extinction. So, how did they get here? If you do enjoy this video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment to share your opinion on any topics mentioned in this video. As will be for all of these, the links to all photos and videos used will be at the bottom of the screen when shown. Enjoy the video. Southend United were founded on the 19th of May 1906 in the Blue Ball pub, which is actually only a few metres away from the club's current home ground, Roots Hall. After being admitted into the Football League in 1920, Southend spent the next 44 years as a third-tier side before relegation in 1966. This would then lead to the start of a 24-year yo-yo period between tiers 3 and 4, winning promotion from the 4th tier 5 times. After their 5th promotion to the 3rd tier, Southend United were then promoted to the 2nd tier for the first time in their history. They spent 6 years in the 2nd tier before they got relegated. And unfortunately, after relegation to the 3rd tier, they were immediately relegated back down to the 4th tier. Despite this setback, however, Southend were not down and out. From 2004 to 2006, Southend United won back-to-back promotions again to the 2nd tier, which was now called the Championship. The goals of Freddie Eastwood, who got 19 and then 23, helped them along the way. Eastwood also scored the only goal in a 1-0 win at home to Sir Alex Ferguson's Man United. A clean sheet and against attack of Rooney and Ronaldo helped them achieve a memorable cup upset. Their time in the Championship, however, lasted only one season. In 2010, Southend were relegated back to League 2. A playoff win in 2015 got them back to League 1, but this has so far been their last promotion. Southend once again suffered double relegation, again in 2020 and 2021, into non-league for the first time. This is where they still find themselves today. For almost 25 years, one man has been behind all the promotions and relegations. He is also the man who would oversee the death of Southend United. In 1998, a man entered into Southend who would take the Shrimpers to their highest and lowest moments in history. That man is Ron Martin. The early years of Martin's era saw Southend's second double promotion and a Football League trophy final. It was during their relegation season to League 2 in 2010 that saw the first of the financial problems occur for Southend. The Shrimpers were given 2 winding up orders over unpaid tax bills. The players went unpaid in February. In March, Southend were given an extension to pay their bills, and should this not be paid, they would be put in administration. However, on the 20th of April, all bills were paid, and all action against Southend was dropped. After this, Southend would reach another Football League trophy final in 2013, and reach Wembley again to win the playoffs and get to League 1. It was during Southend's final League 1 season, which was the 2019-20 season, that more financial trouble occurred. Unpaid wages in December 2019, and a winding up order in January 2020. Due to an unpaid tax bill, Southend were placed under an EFL transfer embargo, meaning despite being in the relegation zone, Southend could not improve their squad, and ended the season with relegation. Despite this financial turmoil at the club, unfortunately for the Shrimpers, this was just the start. During COVID, the club decided to take the move to furlough staff and players, a move that was rejected by said players. In October 2020, Southend settled nearly £500,000 of debt, which dismissed their winding up order. So with that settled, Was this the end of their financial troubles? Unfortunately for the Shrimpers, it wasn't. There was still a long and very tricky road ahead. After 101 years, Southend United were relegated to the National League, meaning they would play non-league football. In December 2021, Southend were placed under a National League embargo because of previous debts. At this point, the debts were in the tens of millions of pounds. In September 2022, Southend were once again placed under a transfer embargo due to missed payments to HMRC. Leading on from this, in October, Southend were given a winding up order. This, however, was adjourned in January 2023. Wages for October, November and December were paid thanks to loans from the Shrimpers Trust and Southend shirt sponsor at the time. In January 2023, it was also found out that the club accounts due for July 2020 had not been filled out. Due to this, Company House issued a notice for Southend to be struck off, which is just a cheaper winding up order. In February 2023, Southend had to find alternative medical cover for the FA Trophy game versus York due to St John's Ambulance pulling out over outstanding fees. Players' January wages were paid a month late, however some staff hadn't been paid since November. One day before their winding up hearing, it had been announced Southend had paid a £1.4 million tax bill, meaning the winding up order was dismissed. During all of this, the club remained under transfer embargo, and some understandingly worried and anxious fans started looking at setting up a Phoenix club should Southend go under. At the same time, sponsors were considering legal action after being left in the unknown, and supporters were concerned about the future and wondering when the next crisis would occur. Despite all of this turmoil, Southend United still finished last season 8th place, just outside the playoffs. The man who masterminded this is someone who is and will forever go down as a Southend United legend. Kevin Mayer was born on the 17th of October 1976 in Ilford. He came from Tottenham Hotspur's academy but never broke through into the first team. So, in 1998, he moved to Root Tool, and the rest, as they say, is history. The midfielder made 454 appearances for the Shrimpers between 1998 and 2008, being a key part of the team that won back-to-back promotions to the Championship. After finishing his career in 2015, Mayer returned to Southend as a youth team manager, and after a caretaker stint at Bristol Rovers, Kevin Mayer once again returned to Southend in 2021 to become first team manager. In his first season in charge, he took Southend to a comfortable mid-table finish. In his first full season in charge, he took Southend to 8th, just 2 points off the playoffs. And this season, he should have them in the playoffs had it not been for their points deduction. All of this is a remarkable achievement when Southend United are constantly under transfer embargoes and don't know if they will see out the season. In terms of this season, Southend has seen even more turmoil. Despite the club being up for sale since March 2023, they started the new season still looking for new owners, and this was despite being in advanced talks regarding a takeover. During the off-season, Southend had their bank accounts unfrozen, allowing them to play staff. But despite this, sponsors withdrew their support to the club, and the water supply was turned off at the training ground. A winding up order was adjourned on the 12th of July. However, this led to doubt as to whether Southend had the ability to meet National League requirements. As we know, they did make the start of the National League season. Due to a lack of players, Southend had to cancel a friendly with Billericay Town and cancel a further friendly versus AFC Wimbledon to allow Root Tool to be ready for the new season. The club were allowed to play in the National League after outstanding wages were paid. In August 2023, a winding up hearing was adjourned for the final time to October the 4th. This led to the club's 10-point deduction, which sees them in the relegation zone. After their York City game, which ended in a 3-0 win to York, Southend were left with just 10 players due to injuries and suspensions, although they did manage to recruit a couple of players to get to a 13-man squad in time for their shock 2-0 win over Maidenhead. At the time of this video's release, Southend have 2 games left to find a new owner, or they will cease to exist. It's shocking to think that in the modern day of football, in a summer where Chelsea took their spending in just over a year to £1 billion, and players like Declan Rice and Moises Caicedo with over £100 million, that a club could be in such financial ruin they could go out of business. It's such a shame to see. So, what was the aim of this video? Well, despite my small following, I still felt it was important to raise the issues affecting Southend United, as they have been largely ignored within the world of football. When Bury went out of business, it was a wake-up call to never let it happen again. But as Macclesfield Town fans will tell you, it did happen again. And if Ron Martin doesn't sell Southend United, it will happen again. So my final message from this video is on behalf of all of Southend and all of football. Ron Martin, get out of their club.